Welcome to Beyond the Page, the official podcast of Choice, the magazine of professional coaching, where we bring you amazing insights and in-depth features that you just won't find anywhere else. I'm your host, Gary Schleifer, and I'm excited to expand your learning as we dive into the latest articles, have a chat with this brilliant author here right beside me, and uncover the learnings that are transforming the coaching world. Join our vibrant community of coaching professionals as we explore groundbreaking ideas, share expert tips and techniques, and make a real difference in our clients' lives, because that's what we really want to do. Remember, this is your go-to resource for all things coaching, so let's dive in. In today's episode, I'm speaking with transformational coach Carrie Sackett, who's the author of an article in our latest issue, What's Hot and What's Not? What is Influencing Coaching? Her article is entitled From Me to We, How Relational Questions Help Your Clients Make Deeper Connections. A little bit about Carrie. She's holds an MS and a PCC, and we're going to talk more about this one. I was reading this, is America's loneliness coach. We will ask about that. For more than 25 years, she's been practicing a transformational approach to emotional wellness and personal growth in the coach's chair and outside the coach's office as a Fortune 500 global change leader and award-winning employee engagement professional. She authored Social Therapeutic Coaching, a practice guide to group and couples work, and founded the Center for Group and Couples Coaching to train coaches of all types with next generation tools that empower clients to transform their lives. That's a lot. Welcome, Carrie. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you so much for writing the article.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and it's really exciting to see it on the page. I know we're going on, but it was nice to see it.
Today's beyond the page because it went on the page. That's right. That's right. Okay. So, I got to ask, what do you mean America's loneliness coach?
Well, what I mean is that we are all suffering. We are all suffering from an atrophying of our relational muscles,
Mm.
capacity to connect with one another, and it's a societal crisis. So, which it's a societal crisis, and yet what the experts are telling us is the way to solve it is to do these individual things. Like, there's always the option to take a pill, or they say, hey, go talk to a stranger, or join a club of something you're passionate about. And I love talking to strangers, and I'm all for us doing things we're passionate about. However, methodologically, they're applying an individualistic, a me method
Mm.
to a we problem. And so I'm so glad that in the article you really pulled out the shift from me to we, and we're going to talk more about that today, because that's what I work with on my clients, is to develop that we lens, because that is the antidote to loneliness.
True that. Sounds very logical. So, okay. And yet, I was totally blown away by this concept as if it were new, but I'm like, what made you bring that forward?
Meaning the relationality concept,
Yeah.
bringing it forward because it's both obvious on a cognitive level, like, hey, we're all connected, we all live in the world together. However, on an experiential level, our culture is now so hyper individualized that we are always in our mental loop in our heads. And that's a me place. And that's a dangerous place to be. It's undevelopmental, because we need others to help us grow, to help
Mm.
us new ways. And we know that we've chosen to be coaches. So on the one hand, we kind of know that. And on the other hand, we need some new tools and new conceptual tools to really empower our clients to transform.
Yeah. Oh, really great. And obviously from your experience and just what you were saying, relationality is very important. But seriously, it was a mind-blowing experience to read the article and have it really pulled out,
Yeah.
right? So well, I could go in so many different directions, but I want to know if how does a coach when and why would a coach ask a relational question?
Yep. That's a great question. So, first of all, maybe I'll say how I characterize what a relational question is, which is it's a question that connects people with each other by inviting them to give their experience in the moment.
Mhm.
How someone is impacting on them, or what's coming up for them emotionally. So these things are in the moment, which means they're not knowing questions that are inviting not knowing responses. And coaches and I use these questions from the client perspective. Like if a client is leaving the room, I'm going to toggle between like individual one-on-one examples and group
Okay.
examples. I do a lot of group work. But in a one-on-one case, when the client kind of leaves the room, like maybe they're talking and talking and talking and talking, or you're like, there was a shift and something happened and then they're off, they've kind of like changed the subject and they're talking about their aunt or their child, and you've kind of lost that connection that you were
Right.
experiencing with the client. So those are moments to ask a relational question. Like for someone who goes on and on, well, are you curious about how I'm experiencing you in our session? Whoa.
Right.
Like clients like, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, that's right. You're right there. There you are. And you're, as the coach, you're like, hey, we're doing this thing together.
Yeah.
How do we want to be doing this together? So that's one side of it. And the other side is for us as coaches, it's a very powerful tool. When we feel ourselves the pull to know or make assumptions, or to try and fix the client, to a way to not go there is to ask a relational question. How is it for you to be saying this to me? For example, again, that's an individual example. In group work, boy, the relationality goes so many different directions. That's why group work is so powerful, and I love it. And I want everyone to get trained in leading life development groups that I train people in. The question might be, what's it like for the group to hear so and so say this really hard stuff to us?
Mhm.
That's different than feeling like I have to manage the group or manage people's emotions or try to fix something, or when we have those pulls as coaches, look out. So it's the same. We're inviting our clients to look out in those moments rather than in their heads. Same
Yeah.
for us.
I can't help but think of my experience in training and course, relational coaching, and where you have this third entity. So it's not about you or them. And what you're saying is it's like it's a slightly different version of that where it's the we and bringing into that. The fact that you drew that out and wrote about for us is very interesting. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah. Yeah. In the work I do with couples, I say to them, I'm taking the side of the relationship. What does the relationship need? And it's similar in one-to-one work. I will ask clients all the time, how are we doing? And I mean it sincerely. I really want to hear however they're experiencing how we're doing. I want to create that space where they can say something hard. Take that risk, because when clients develop those relational muscles with us as coaches, then they can go out in the world and exercise those muscles at work and in their relationships and at home and in their communities.
Yeah. Wow. Well said. Thank you. It goes to the point what you said right at the beginning of the article. We're seeing more clients struggle with feelings of disconnection, imposter syndrome, and of course, the topic we started off with, loneliness.
Yeah.
And so you're causing transformation. Give us an example of some other transformations you've seen as a result of using relational questions.
Well, here's one. It's an example of that breaking up of the inner loop. So, and this is a group-based example. So I hope, so a woman in group, young, ambitious, talented, sometimes she would, my groups are all different ages, different walks of life, different things people want to work on. So she's providing leadership to the group. She says something strong to the group that's like deeply felt and very helpful to the group. And then she would freak out and be like, oh my God, I just provided leadership. And then she'd get very humiliated. So I would ask the group, what's your experience of how she's being in group? What's your experience of these last 20 minutes? And then different group members said their different experiences of her. And some are really nice and sweet, others are like lovingly demanding, like, man, you provide a lot of leadership and then you take off. Like, you get all these different perspectives, and people can hear it much more from peers than the coach, even though we're co-creating. We are not therapists, we are not the authority, but still people hear it better from their peers. And then like 2 months later, she wrote a note to the whole group and said, I was out with my boyfriend, we were doing all these things I'd never done before, and whenever I started to feel humiliated, I thought of the group.
Wow.
And I got through it and I had a great time. Thank you, group.
2 months later, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Wow, no kidding. So I want to take a slightly different tact, but still with regards to what you said about, tell us about this work and imposter syndrome.
Um, sure. And another story. Again, this is group work. Um, very, very talented, very successful, top of his field professional is in group and says to the group, oh, I'm just a teacher. And the group is asking questions. What do you do, this, that, da, da, da. And then the group is then again, how is the group experiencing so and so? And the group says, you're not just a teacher, you just told us you're this and this and this and this. And it really it helped him break out of that loop, that I'm not good enough, whatever, to again have more. See, the thing about relationality is having that we are connected. We do impact on each other. Others do impact on us. That's living the we life, if you will.
Yes.
And the me life, which is our culture is me culture. So it takes work. You can't even get out of it by yourself. We really need others to help us get out of it. The me culture is all the silly things we tell, I tell myself, me. It's not a good, it's not healthy, and it's not scientifically valid. We're not isolated individuals, even though that's how we get related to morning, noon, and night.
Yeah.
That's how we get loneliness.
Yeah.
We're being related to as isolated individuals, and we better fix ourselves. Oh my God, we can't do that. We need others. And when you need others, you want to include, how are you experiencing me? Can I share with you how I'm experiencing you? And also, when you do this, people build up their emotional resilience. And they discover, oh, I can say something scary and awkward and hard. It's possible. The world's not going to fall apart. And that's really important, to be able to trust. We say it all the time in coaching, to be able to trust the process.
Yes,
We
indeed.
give our clients some new muscles so that they can go out in the world and trust the process.
Yeah, but that's a long journey. just
Yeah,
happen overnight, right? With a lot of work, a lot of experimentation, observation, things like that. I'm sitting here laughing, thinking about the whole imposter syndrome because you talk to people and they're like, "Well, I have imposter syndrome, might have imposter syndrome," and then you talk to the next person and the next person.
right.
If they all just talk to each other and realize they all have the same thing, it's like it would poof, it would disappear just like that, right?
I love that you're saying that. That's my fantasy around loneliness is that we all walk down the street and say, "Hi, I'm lonely." I mean, I'm lonely because we're all lonely.
Right? Yeah,
We
exactly.
kind of living in a lonely moment in a lonely world. And why are we covering these things over? That it makes it harder.
Well, and we're social beings. Why are we resisting being social? And why are we hiding? Well, hiding behind, don't even get me started on hiding behind phones and social media and things like that, right? I mean, the amount of times I hear now that people break up over cell phone, like by text, so they don't even have the courage to face each other. And I think you've really touched on a really important thing, huge amount of fear.
Yes.
Fear of being judged, fear of being attacked, fear of being thought less of, that sort of thing.
Yes. And again, that's why group work is I'm so passionate about it. And the life the kind of group work all group work is fabulous. And the life development groups that I lead, it's a place where people discover that they can move through that. It's an environment created by the clients,
Hmm.
make it, where they are trying new things and taking those risks and discovering that that people are still there with them. And
Yeah.
in fact, my groups are ongoing. I do short-term groups, and then people are like, "Wow, this is fabulous. This is like it's like an emotional relational workout. It's like I go to yoga once a week. I want to come to a life development group once a week because this is the place in my life where I can exercise those muscles with people that I've come to care about and trust that we can go through the process together. And then it completely enriches their lives. And again, they take it out into wherever they go in the world.
Yeah, one person at a time. It just still strikes me as so odd that this resonated so much with me, considering I'm in the relational industry of coaching, where I'm getting related to clients, establishing trust, rapport, awareness, connectivity, all this sort of stuff. And yet, when I read this article and I greatly and hope that everybody does read the article and can see that it just makes the whole idea of relationality pop and offers some great opportunities too, like in the call today, some of the questions that you're asking and the possibilities. So I don't know why I'm so amazed, and yet I'm amazed.
Yeah, well, I kind of have an answer. We'll see. I'll ask you how it impacts on you. Um, See, social therapeutics, what I practice, it's it's a break with traditional method. Um, to put on the we lens, we need other conceptual tools. So that's what's coming through in the article, I
Right?
hope, or you know,
Yeah,
because
that strikes a chord.
from from traditional science, see, quantum physics broke with traditional science. And so relationality is a break with how we're used to seeing things. Traditional science is take an individual thing out of its context, study it objectively, and then come up with immutable laws. Psychology took that method, and psychology, of course, influences everything. And it was great in its moment, but its moment was 140 years ago. So hopefully what's coming across in the article are these other kinds of new tools, new ways of seeing new conceptions.
Yeah, it truly. So yes, I that landed 100%. That's exactly what it is. Thank
Mm.
you. And thank you again for writing it. I was blown away. Blown away.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to share and teach and project and really make an offer to the broad coaching community. We are an innovative field, and we are innovative people. That's our edge. Let's keep innovating.
We're still a young profession, people. Carrie, what would you like our audience to do as a result of the article in this conversation? I hear you've got some treats.
Yes, thank you for asking. Okay, so I have two treats, and they both involve emailing me. And I'm going to say I'll say the treats first. Okay, so one is two people who email me will get free access to my training videos. I have about 4.5 hours of training videos. So the first two people who email me get those for free. And then for
Thank you.
everyone who sends me their email within 2 weeks of this episode airing, I'm going to create a lottery, and somebody will win one free training, practicing social therapeutic coaching training, which is like a $600 offer.
Wow. Thank you.
So,
That's so generous.
so now I better say my email address. I didn't say that.
Yeah. So slowly go.
Carrie, Carrie, at ZPD coaching, Z as in zebra, P as in Peter, D as in David, coaching.com.
And in Canada, that's a Z. But that's just another story. We're broadcasting globally, and we understand that it's Z in America, and I'm helping the cultural change to say it's Z in Canada. Carrie, it's very generous of you. Carrie, Carrie, at, hold on, cpdcoaching.com. I
Yes.
remember because you said Zebra Peter David.
Yes. Oh, great.
Right? So there you go. Piece of cake. Thank you again for seriously for writing and for being with me on this podcast today. I love taking it beyond the page, and you were just so delightful in doing so and joining me in that. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Page. For more episodes, subscribe via your favorite podcast app, probably the one that got you here in the first place. If you're not a subscriber to Choice Magazine and you're watching this episode, you can sign up for free by scanning the QR code in the top right corner, or go to choice-online.com and click the Sign Up Now button. I'm Gary Schleifer. Enjoy the journey of mastery. Thanks again, Carrie.